What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Cubs Live podcast. I am your host, Kyle Malzhan, alongside co-host Mark Talarico. On this episode, we're going to switch things up a little bit. Instead of us actually previewing or talking about the upcoming series, we're actually going to talk about some rumors circulating the MLB as of late. And that's the rumors pertaining to the Cubs and Manny Machado. And it was reported today by John Heyman that the Cubs will indeed take a look at a potential trade that will acquire Manny Machado to the Cubs. Now, the big centerpiece in the trade may in fact include Addison Russell. And Manny Machado is only 25, so it's going to take a little bit more for that. But the Orioles are a team with a very losing record. So, I don't see him staying on this team very much longer. But Machado's only 25, like I said, and he has a really good track record and continuing to get better. This guy is batting .342 this year, Mark, with 13 homers. And we're not even done with Mace. So a crazy start to his year. So now, Mark, all these trade talks are being talked about. Do you think this deal gets done?
I don't think the deal gets done because Theo talked about how he doesn't want to deal away future assets anymore for a rental player. I think that was his exact quote. And while Addison Russell this is his fourth year in the league, we know that, but he's still under team control for a long time, and he's not going to be just a flop. It's not going to be Addy for Machado. It's going to be Addy along with maybe Mike Montgomery, maybe Elzalay. There's going to be a couple other pieces that it's not just going to be a straight up deal. And I think that if he did, it would go against what he already went on the record saying.
Well, yeah, and the weird thing about it is it wouldn't surprise me if Theo were to check up on Addison and Machado, the whole trade situation, because that's the type of GM that, Theo is. So, it's going to be interesting to see the least, but I don't see the Orioles, keeping Manny Machado by the end of this year. It would be foolish too. I know there's a fan side and there's a business perspective, and as a business perspective, you have to deal away a superstar to start the rebuild because that team's not getting better anytime soon. But yeah, it's not going to be just Addison Russell. There's going to be more pieces, and I don't think there would be an extreme, like you said, he doesn't want to deal away, starters for some rentals, but Addison Russell might be that guy because he hasn't panned out. And, I'll talk about it later, but there's a concern where Manny Machado, what if he doesn't sign that extension for the Cubs? And the best thing about the Cubs is that they won't bank on it. They have pieces to fulfill that role. Addy or Javi can go to shortstop. Hap can slide in second full time. So it's not like they'll be losing as much, but obviously, when you lose an all-star already at 24, like Addison Russell, that's definitely a blow if you don't keep Machado in the long run if this trade does pan out. Now, like I mentioned before, Addison Russell keeps getting brought up when the rumors are talked about. Now, do we go and give two major league pieces for him, or do we go Alloway, like you said, a couple of young starting pitchers in our minor leagues, or what do we do, or what are you thinking? I know you touched base on it, but expand a little more on it.
I think that everybody's talking about Addison Russell as the main piece, which I think would make sense. I think that Addison Russell would be the main piece because if we're not getting rid of Russell and we're getting Machado, think of how crowded that infield would be. We would have so many people there because you have Javi, Russell, and Machado, all three of them, not even including Hap, could all play shortstop. All three of them can. So I think that it would have to be an infielder, and they're talking about Russell, so it'd probably be Russell would be the main centerpiece of that. I think that it would be Russell, maybe either Mike Montgomery or maybe Eddie Butler even. Maybe one of those two would be – it wouldn't be a starter pitcher, but it'd be a pitcher that has the
track record, maybe.
Has the track record. And I'd just like to come out and say this is just a little interruption, but the game has officially been postponed. Just got that tweet. Just wanted to go on record and say that real quick. But and then probably would be, they don't have a lot of prospects per se, but yeah. I would say something like Elzalay, something like that.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that it's not like Eddie Butler or Mike Montgomery have been good this season. So who knows what their trade value is, and who knows what the Orioles think of Addison Russell. Addison Russell keeps getting brought up, but who knows how the Orioles perceive him. He's definitely young and controlled to start a rebuild around and kind of start that around that. So obviously a nice player to have, but obviously these are only trade rumors. And like I said, Addy is only 24. He has an all-star game under his belt. In the year that he hit over 90 RBIs, that was his all-star year, but he's never really panned out, right? I mean, I would love to see Russell hit 275 and I'd be okay with it, but his highest batting average is 242. But he's an absolute great defender, and that makes up so much of it, because this lineup that the Cubs have is they don't need to bank on Addison Russell. We have Bryant, Rizzo, Contreras, Schwarber, like those guys. We don't need to bank on Russell, but it would be nice to see a little more production. I mean, if you add Machado in there, that's a 280, 290, 30, 40 homer guy to go along with Contreras and Baez and Bryant, and the list goes on. But I mean, why would the Cubs give up on Addison Russell if he were to be dealt?
That's the thing. Like, it doesn't make sense to me because he's under control for a long time, and it's not like he's a liability. Yeah, he's streaky, but recently, I mean, he's been doing really well. He had a really important double 2 games ago. I think he's heating up, and he is looking really comfortable at the plate. He doesn't have the power that all the fans hoped he would have and hoped that he would become a 25, 30 home run a year kind of player. But he is, I think he's second or third on the team in walks, and he's only trailing Bryant and Schwarber, who are having career years at the plate when it comes to walks. So Addison Russell, he is seeing the ball better. He's a very patient hitter, and he may not be the superstar that we all hoped he would be, but he's not a liability either. So I don't think that giving up on him really makes sense in a way. But at the same time, when a player like Manny Machado goes on the trade block, per se, because for the Orioles, they're one of the worst teams in baseball this year, they have to get rid of him. It makes no sense to hold on to him because they're not going to extend him. They got to get something for him. So, of course, the Cubs are going to look into that because Manny Machado he's a generational talent. He's one of the most consistent players in baseball. And if you look at it and you look at Machado and Harper kind of thing, because they're like 2 really big players for the offseason this year, Machado is a more consistent player. If you look at in terms of WAR, on base percentage, all that kind of thing, Machado has been, you know what you're going to get out of Machado. And Harper's kind of up and down in a way, but you need to check in on Machado. And Theo is going to do that.
Yeah, and if he checks in, the deal goes through, you would hate for another Jason Hayward type situation to happen like that. And then you give up Addison Russell and he's in the AL just hitting bombs and really set him lean in Camden Yards. So hopefully it would go the Cubs' way. And I don't see anything like that happening, but it's something you would have to take into consideration. And now Addison Russell's looked pretty good as of late. I mean, he had that game-tying double, which was one of his best at-bats. He worked a 1-2 count full, got his pitch to hit a deep center in the new Brave Stadium. So in the past 3 weeks, he's hitting 314 and with a 880 OPS. So, I mean, the numbers are there, dude. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's looked really good as of late, and it's the Cubs we're checking in on Machado that kind of betters that situation. And now I'm indifferent about it. I don't hate the idea, but I don't love it. I don't hate it because I'm content with Addison Russell. Like, I'm not at the point where once he gets up, I'm annoyed. Like, I want him to succeed. I want Addison to, because I mean, dude, he was so clutch for us in 2015 and 2016. And I feel like in 2015 when he came up, he had so many good hits and deep in games. Like, I mean, the guy was on point. And I mean, if the deal doesn't go through and nothing comes out of it, it's just rumors, I'm not going to be too butthurt about it. Like I would be if the Bryce Harper in 2019 doesn't happen. I might take a little offense to that because just everything that's worked up. But we'll talk about that later. But I actually asked on the Cubs Live Twitter page about the trade, and I said Manny Machado to the Cubs. And the 3 options were yes, pull the trigger, nope, or go after him during free agency. Now I got 824 votes. And 44% of the people said yes, pull the trigger. 30% said nope. And 26% say go after him during free agency. But the big guy in free agency this offseason is Bryce Harper. And obviously, Cubs fans, they all know about Bryce Harper. They all know about what he entails and basically Bryant luring him in. And Rizzo might be a little upset about it, but who knows? But, I mean, dude, is there a possibility that the Cubs could get both? I mean, not in 2019, but I'm saying get a rental this year, get rid of them in the offseason, and then bring in Harper. I mean, for me, that would be the ideal situation, but I feel like that's a little greedy on my part, and I don't think that it happens. But if I'm looking at the two, do I want Machado or Bryce Harper? I want Bryce Harper, 25%. 250%. Like I want Bryce Harper over Manny Machado. But if you can get both, that would be stellar. Do you think there's a possibility of that happening? I mean, it's pretty crazy to think about, but it's Theo Epstein.
Mm-hmm. I think the only way that it is possible, there are a couple ways that it is possible. I think that the way that you said it, which for some reason, when I was thinking about that question, it didn't even cross my mind, but having Machado this year as a rental and then signing Harper on the offseason. I thought about having them together somehow, but I think the only way that you could have them together would be if somehow Jason Hayward retired from baseball. I don't know, but because that'll be so much money because Machado is going to he should get really close to how much money Harper's going to get. So, right. And you also need to think that the Cubs, they're going to need to extend Bryant soon, Rizzo, Contreras, Javi, Schwarber, all of those guys, they're going to have to pick who they're going to extend there. So if they get Harper and Machado, yeah, that's going to be good for a while, but I don't know. I financially do not think it's possible. Yeah, I think that payroll will be out of control.
And a lot of fans don't understand this, but there's a financial side of baseball, and you need to keep under luxury tax. And the Cubs are set up pretty good to make a run on Bryce Harper next year. Now, we're getting off the Manny Machado thing, and every time we talk about Bryce Harper, I could talk about it forever. But the thing about Bryce Harper is I see him getting a 9-year deal with each 3 years of an opt-out. And if that can happen for the Cubs, after those 3 years are up, that's when Bryant's contract is up. So he could play 3 years with Chris Bryant and opt out and go test free agency again. And then the Cubs go lock up Chris Bryant. And I'd be okay with it. 3 years of Bryce Harper, anyone of you would take it. And then, but who do you think the Cubs lock up first in their core? And I think it's going to be Contreras. I really do, because Contreras seems like he's content with the Cubs. I think he is. He loves playing, the game of baseball. I think he's not so much about the money. He's going to get paid, but he doesn't care about the money. Like Bryant, I'm not saying Bryant is, but he's a Boris client. Boris likes to get the most out of his players, so I don't see that extension happening at any time soon. Maybe in 2020, maybe. But I mean, who do you think? Is it Baez? Is it Contreras? Is it Rizzo? I mean, Rizzo. He's only getting paid what, like $7-9 million a year. I mean, it's not too crazy money, but he's going to get paid after. But who signs first with the Cubs?
I think that Rizzo's a Cub for life. I think Rizzo really is a Cub for life, and it's hard for me to even believe that that there was a time where he wasn't a Cub. It's really hard for me to even think about that. So I think that goes without saying that I don't know when he'll get extended per se, but when it comes to our young core, when I'm thinking about Contreras, Baez, Schwarber, Javi, everybody, Bryant, I think, like you said, I think Contreras, I think it makes most sense for Contreras because he should be the catcher for the Cubs for the next decade. I think that he's going to be a dominant catcher. He already is right now. He's phenomenal. And I think that he knows he loves it in Chicago. He loves it here. There's no need for him to go anywhere else. I think that it would either be him or I could see Javi, honestly. I mean, he does have a Chicago Cubs tattoo on his arm from the World Series. Like he does have that on his body. Like, so he clearly likes it too. And you do too. And
two of us. I might sign my contract tomorrow. But the thing about Contreras is like there's not a lot of. I mean, there's good catchers in the league, but they're hard to come around. So when you have one, you gotta keep it.
Absolutely.
And with Contreras so young with such a high ceiling, I think you got to sign the deal. Now, can we imagine a lineup with Almora, Machado, Bryant, Rizzo, Contreras, Schwarber? I mean, God, that's some serious damage right there. And then if you talk about the Bryce Harper, it's just switching out Machado or Bryce Harper. So, I mean, these are only rumors right now, but it's fun to toy with, and that's why we're here to talk about it and to get fans jacked up. Now, talk to me about the lineup. How many homers do we hit? I mean, that's 30. That's 30 for Machado. That's 35 for Bryant. That's 30 for Rizzo. Contreras can hit 25, and Schwarber can hit 40. So, I mean, if that adds up, it's not rocket science. I mean, World Series are bust.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm laughing out loud at that because that's just.
It's just stupid to think about, isn't
it? That's just it. It's so ridiculous. It's like our own murderer's row in a way. It's like that's unbelievable for something like that to happen. And the crazy thing is that it's possible. Like, and if the Cubs lose Addison Russell, it's not like I'll be really upset. I have 3 Cubs jerseys. I have Schwarber, Baez, and I have Russell. I love Addison Russell. I want to name like my future dog after him. Like I love Addy. He's a great guy and he's a great player and he's one of my favorites. But at the same time, if you get rid of Addison Russell, that just means that Happ plays every day. That's all that means. You're not really losing too much per se. You have Happ playing every day, and then Zobrist can also play when a lot more, and then David Bodie can come up. There are a lot of things that can happen. It's not the end of the world if the Cubs get rid of Addison Russell. I don't really want to see it happen because I'm attached to him, but I could see it not really being detrimental.
Right, and that's the best thing about this Cubs team is there's always options. The next guy's up. Like David Bodie, he was on no one's radar before March, and now he's on everyone's radar because he looks like a Zobrist type player who's going to come in to fulfill those roles when needed. I guess I don't know, man. I don't know if this deal gets done. I wouldn't think it's crazy because it's Theo Epstein. But what would really blow my mind, and this is me just, rambling on, is if Theo can somehow acquire Machado this year. Machado goes test free agency, gets rid of the, Jason Hayward contract and brings in Bryce Harper. I mean, isn't that the perfect ideal situation? I mean, none of that's probably going to happen. I mean, some of it might happen, but I mean, that would just be Theo Epstein there would probably be a statue for him at Wrigley waiting when he comes back in 2019. I mean, it would just be ridiculous. And I love Jason Hayward too. I think he's a great teammate. He's a great, an individual, but I mean, dude, statistics don't lie, and he's only dragging that bottom of the order down. But I'm all here for Jason Hayward's success. That's the thing. If he has success, I'm all here for it, and I hope the best for him. But I mean, if you're in a situation where you can get rid of that contract, I mean, God, dude, you got to pull the trigger.
That's
right?
The thing.
Even if you're eating most of the contract, I mean, we're the Chicago Cubs. We have a lot of money, right? I mean,
what are the possibilities of some sort of deal with Baltimore where we throw in Hayward? Like, can Baltimore, do they need Hayward by any chance? Like, I don't know if we eat some of the contract. Like, I haven't thought about that.
The Cubs would have to eat a lot of that contract.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about that, but I mean, that would really open up the opportunity to extend Machado, which would be the most ideal scenario. I don't mind giving up what the Cubs would have to give up if it's included in an extension, because Machado is 25. He's one of the top 5, I think, top 7 baseball players in all the game. And if you could lock that up and have an infield of Contreras, Rizzo, Javi, Machado, and Bryant, get out of here. Get out of here.
It's stupid to think about, dude. It's like a cheat code on a video game. It's
honestly.
Ridiculous. Now, I will say this, that the Cubs game tonight on Thursday, May 17th, will be rescheduled for August 30th at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. Like we said earlier, tonight's game is canceled. I mean, Mark was right on it. Basically breaking news. That's just what we do at Cubs Live. But, I mean, back to this Machado trade. Now, one last question before I wrap things up, before we get rambling on anymore. At what timetable do you think Machado gets dealt in? If it is the Cubs, when does this get done? Early June? Or do they wait till July?
The thing is, I think Baltimore, they're going to be patient with this, honestly, because they're not in a hurry to – I mean, they know that Machado's days are numbered, but they know that the season's already over. They know that the team isn't going to – this is not the year for them. They're 2 years removed from a wild card team, and they realize that they need to rebuild. And they know that they need to get rid of Machado, and they're going to get their absolute best value for him. I'm sure that the teams are already calling saying, hey, like, what about this? What about this? And they're like, oh, let's wait. So I think that it's going to take a little bit. They might wait till the deadline. They really might. But I think that if a deal is going to be happening, I think it'll happen around probably mid-June, somewhere around, I don't know, I'll go with June 15th. Just put that on the over-under, June 15th.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, that team's not going to contend for a while. They're in a division with the Yankees and Red Sox, who are two very good young teams. They have a young core. I mean, the Yankees, Judge, Stanton, Didi. I mean, the list goes on. Clint Frazier at some point, if he pans out in the Red Sox with, you know who's on the Red Sox. I mean, it's just up and down that lineup is just ridiculous. Now, the only other thing I have concerned about this Machado trade is, do the Cubs have enough? When you look at other teams like the Braves, they have a great farm system. The Phillies even have an even better. And those are two teams for me that have exciting futures and maybe could pull in his contract for the half of the season and see what happens. Because, I mean, the Braves had the best record in the NL. The Phillies are an upcoming team and look to maybe get that wild card or maybe take their division even. And, I mean, dude, those two teams have a lot of prospects that the Cubs don't have. So who knows? Who knows? I mean, Addison Russell isn't a super. I mean, he isn't a superstar in the game to center around, but he's a nice piece to have. And I don't know how much the Orioles perceive him. So that's the thing I'm wondering.
The thing that is really getting to me is that whenever I don't know if it's just because I follow so many people that are all about the Cubs, but when I see like Manny Machado, the name that I see most affiliated is Addison Russell and the Cubs. That's what I see happening the most. I don't see stuff talking about the Braves. I don't see stuff about the Phillies. Obviously, there are going to be a lot of teams that are intrigued about Machado, and it's possible that there are going to be many different deals. The thing with Russell is that he isn't a bust per se. I'm not going to call him a bust because he is going to provide Gold Glove defense on the infield at a position that's very important. And he is going to, you know what you're going to get, probably around 250 hitter, and he's 24. He could still really pan out.
Absolutely.
So he is a more proven player than what anybody else is going to offer. I think that's where it's at.
Yeah, and that's definitely a good point that I never thought about. I mean, he's made a mark in the MLB already, and he can only go up from here. I mean, he has a high ceiling. Maybe it's just a different scenery. Some different scenery. I mean, I don't know what this entails, but there is rumors that John Heyman reported that the Cubs will check on Manny Machado. We don't know how far that's going to go, but it's going to be fun to play out with in July or June when the Orioles are 20 games back and they need to do something here quick because Machado isn't going to be around forever on that team because he's a free agent. So get what you can now. All right, well, I guess I'll wrap things up. I want to thank you guys for listening to this podcast, and you can find us, Cubs Live, on Twitter at Cubs_Live. Again, find us on Twitter at Cubs_Live. I just repeated that twice. I don't care. I'm Kyle. He's Mark. Go Cubs.